Hello everyone, how do you like the stories from the first part? If you haven't had time to watch it yet, then be sure to watch it, so as not to miss interesting stories. And I welcome everyone who got to the second part. The stories will be no less interesting. So put likes, subscribe to the channel, this is very important to me, and we are getting started. The first story in the second part of the video will be from the user, Global T. Let's listen to it. For context, ex, who I was with for a total of a year and a half, and was long distance for 6 months, with cheated on me. It was a drunk kiss with someone he admitted, who he began to have and tried to suppress feelings for. This girl was also aware of me, and that he was dating someone at the time. He initially wasn't going to tell me until he came back in December, but after confronting him back in July, how strange things between us were, and wanting to clear the air and talk about whatever we've been thinking about, he admitted everything to me. He told me that day that he and this girl agreed to be friends and that he wouldn't be in a relationship for a while. Months go by and we still occasionally talk, maybe once a week if anything, and if we don't talk for that week, that's fine too. I enjoyed our friendship, and it was nice to be able to talk during those times. Today I found out through a friend who was randomly scrolling around that he had a separate Facebook account where he and this other girl update their status to in a relationship with each other in the beginning of December. Also later found out that that girl had a separate account too. I was angry, heart racing, body shaking, everything. Because here you are saying this, and then, while we still talk, you continue to be in contact with this girl and even eventually begin to date her. I understand that we aren't together, but is there no respect? He knew about me, being cheated on in the past, before even literally begged for me not to cheat on him. And he does this. I had a bag of his stuff I was planning on giving to him when he came back. I was originally going to just leave it at his house when I was house sitting for his family, but on the day I really decided to do it, the other house sitter had the keys, and I couldn't go in anymore. I messaged the ex with a screenshot of his second account just to see what he has to say. But at this point, I'm just tired and done. Our parents don't know about what he did. He asked me to not tell my parents for fear of making it weird, and that if his parents found out that they might pity me. But I just feel like, at this point, he doesn't deserve to save face anymore. His parents think he's over there studying in school when really he's doing this. My plan was to just message his family, since I'm still welcomed to their house, and ask if I can just drop something off. But then I wanted to just be clear, like, hey, just so, you know, the reason we really broke up was not because he was too busy. It was because he cheated on me. What do you think, guys? Thanks in advance for your response. Let me know if I need to clarify or add additional information. Author update this story. Hi to the people who already replied and who see this. Now it's only been a day, but I wanted to provide an update and just close this properly. I did give back the stuff at his house, but I'm guessing the universe wants me to not tell his parents as I didn't go inside and was told to simply leave it at the front door. And I think it's better this way. Why add more fuel to it all? You know, I will just be quietly moving on now. Thank you all for your responses. It really helped with my perspective of it all. I wish you guys, well, what I think about it. It's a pretty sad story, and I'm sorry that you had to go through this. Sometimes, people are not ready to keep their promises and even just say everything right away. Because of their indecision, I'm very glad that you understand that he is not worthy of your attention and time, and that you continued to move on. I wish you all the best and good luck in your future endeavors. User MoMusicMan commented this story. What did you hope to accomplish by telling his parents? Author answer on user question. I thought I would just let them know, for accountability, to let them actually know the truth. He asked me to not say that he did something to either of our parents, and when I was with his parents, I was getting payment from house sitting, and they invited me in to let me eat and chat. They asked me what happened and I had to lie, and I had to keep hearing that he's studying really hard, and that I was his first love, and I'm special to him. When I actually know the truth, I just don't think he deserves to save face. The fact that he even created a separate Facebook account this month to update his relationship status with her as if he's hiding it from his parents, or even me. The second story will be from the user. Fine, let's listen to it. My wife and I have been together for over 6 years, married for almost 3. A couple years ago, She took a job that seemed like a perfect fit. After a while, she started going out with her colleagues in the middle of the week, leaving me home with our kid, only to return at or after 3 a.m. Completely unlike her up to that point, soon. After that started, she began telling me more about the people she worked with. There was a huge percentage of these people that were cheating on their SOs with their colleagues. Her closest friend, there was cheating on her husband with a younger guy, we're going to call him Chad for ease of reading. She also told me another one of her friends was sleeping over at his house while her husband was at home with their kids. Pretty soon my wife started showing me certain messages from this guy, mostly pictures he sent her of her friends topless. At this point, I was getting concerned. We both went out with the group one night, and it was exceedingly awkward. If a non-work friend and her husband wouldn't have shown up at that bar, I don't know if I could have kept my anxiety at bay. I watched as married people behaved incredibly inappropriately with others the whole night. While no one but me and the couple, thought this was a problem. That couple was originally friends with my wife before I met her, but became really good friends of mine too. That couple even came right out and said how they felt to these folks. Not long after that night, I noticed some obvious signs of an issue. The phone face down, never leaving arm's length, shutting apps, or the screen off as soon as I got near the usual stuff. So I asked her about it. She showed me the FB messages he'd been sending. I asked why not text, and he told her FB messages is more fun. Absolutely unacceptable messages. He was constantly asking for photos. She denied ever sending any, telling her. He wanted to sleep with her, ejaculate inside her, get her to have threesomes and foursomes with her and her other colleagues, stuff like that. I told her that's not okay, and she said she'd put a stop to it not long later. I think it was a couple weeks, the phone secrecy started again, and I asked if he was still doing it. He was, at this point. I told her, I'm not okay with that, and if he wouldn't stop, I needed her to block him. She argued that that's just Chad, which I told her was just an excuse. She flipped out and told me I was trying to stop her from having friends, then she'd download Snapchat, to be honest. I already had SC, but was extremely open with what I was using it for, contact with my siblings, and truly only that even showed her most of the snaps I received. I started seeing SC notifications pop up with Chad's name when her phone was just laying around. I didn't ever look at them because I really did trust her. I just had a problem with the conversations and how he was treating my wife, other women and those women's SOs. When I confronted her about this, it blew up again, eventually leveling out, and we both deleted SC. A few months go by and we met up with some of her colleagues for dinner, and Chad showed up, as well as one of the wives he was having sleep with her husband and a couple I hadn't met yet. The new woman, let's call her Amy, kept looking from me to Chad. To my wife, Amy looked terrified when Chad sat down next to me. He tried to sit next to my wife, leaving me to sit away from her, but I stomped that pretty quickly. At some point in the meal, Amy and Chad were chatting, and photo or semi-photo pictures came up. Apparently, he likes to send those on the way home. I asked if she had ever gotten photos from him. She got super defensive at this. A few days later, we were both still pretty irritated with each other, and the topic came up again. She showed me more messages, and he never stopped sending the things. She said she would stop him from sending. I brought this up, and how friends don't treat each other like that, and she lost her on me. Especially when I brought up that there were obviously messages missing. It's usually obvious when you delete a message in a chain of questions and answers and messages about me asking her if he'd sent her photos. I was super pissed about that last bit. Basically, she told me to get over it, or she'd leave me. So I bottled it all up and went about my life with my wife and kids. That last incident was probably a year ago. A couple times since then, she told me she wasn't talking to him anymore. At least a dozen times she's said she was going to block him on FB, but never has for his politics. Not because it hurts me to know how they talk to each other. And now to recent events, I've been going to therapy for a while now and have learned better communication and self-care. My wife and I have been doing a great job at being more open and honest and working through the things that upset us together. After tackling some very small issues, I decided it was time to try to put the last nail in this. Coffin, I approached her and told her that I felt disrespected in all of this. In all fairness, I definitely could have chosen my words better. Again, she flipped it out and basically told me to get over it or she'd leave. I kept at it because I matter and so does how I feel. She told me she never said. She stopped talking to him, but she absolutely did. She then proceeded to tell me I didn't have a reason not to trust her. When I asked if he was still sending the same types of messages, she accused me of going through her phone. Apparently, I assumed correctly. I explained the things I was noticing that caused concern. Hiding the phone closing apps. She stated that I had the password to her phone, I didn't, and I could check it whenever I then asked if I could see the messages, and she said, no, I'm at my wit's end. This is consuming me, and it's negatively impacting our relationship, my work, my friendships, and my mental health. Am I being paranoid? What can I do to more clearly explain how this makes me feel, and how it's not an issue of me thinking she's cheating, it's an issue of me feeling discounted and betrayed. Any advice is greatly appreciated. Author update this story. We had a very long discussion about the situation and started MC. We also talked to our counselor about the situation and the last discussion. It is not 100% resolved, but we both learned a lot about each other's positions. The way I first approached the topic made her feel like I was being controlling. And looking back, I understand why I didn't explain a lot in that first fight. Really can't call it a discussion, because neither of us was rational or calm about it. So from her perspective, I basically just said, I think your friend is a POS, and you have to stop talking to him. Her ex was an extremely controlling POS. I've met him, and that is absolutely the case. She has a lot of issues from childhood and her ex, which result in being very defensive, and she doesn't have any coping skills to deal with those feelings. So when I aggressively approached her about it, the first time she felt like I was attacking her and trying to control who she can be friends with. Once she was able to calm down and talk rationally, I laid out all of the red flags and how they made me feel. Having laid everything out with as little emotion as possible, it was clear she never thought about it this way. To her, she wasn't sending pictures, she wasn't starting conversations. She didn't do anything she considered cheating. She didn't think about how it looked from the outside. Like I said, it's still not completely resolved, but we're talking calmly and rationally about it now. She showed me their messages, and I pointed out what exactly I take issue with. There was a lot of shit from him that no married person would be okay with, but the responses from her did reassure me a little. She didn't encourage or go along with any of them, but she also wasn't telling him to stop as much as she should have, and I set the expectation that she sets those boundaries with him. If he sends anything like those in the future, she is to tell him immediately that it's not okay. And if he sends any more after that, he's to be completely blocked, social media, phone number, email, everything. He no longer works there. So I'm not too concerned with that whole big thing where he got caught with someone else's wife. And about deleted messages, I made her show me the archived messages, and I pulled cached data off her phone. Turns out, where I thought there were deleted messages was either her changing the subject or her just simply not responding to him. I know her tech skills, and she'd never have known about the cached data if I hadn't done it right in front of her. To her, those were the only actions she needed to take. We talked about how unhealthy that is with our counselor, and she seems to truly understand my side now, and I really do get why she thought the way she did. I just don't agree with it. So we're going to continue MC, be more open with each other about our concerns, irritations, and fears. We're also working on communication, so when there are incendiary topics to discuss, we can do so in a constructive way. I think I have some thoughts on this. Wow, this dude is really crazy. I don't understand how he can be so unreasonable, because he probably understood that your girlfriend has you, but I don't understand how your girlfriend continued to communicate with him after all your conversations with him. I was just talking about a moment before. You updated the story, which is what updates. I am very glad that you went to a consultant and were able to talk through all your misunderstandings. This is really cool. It is clear that all problems will not be solved at once, and situations will still appear in which you will disagree. But the most important thing is that she now understands that it is necessary to discuss such moments together and share stories with each other. I am happy for you and wish you all the best in the future. User It Told You So commented this story. Do not take this crap from her. What does she have that is so good that you would be disrespected and stomped on by your wife in this fashion? I gotta tell you, I would walk, oh Chad, and I would have a private conference. So today's stories have come to an end. I hope you liked them. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Jimmy was with you. See you tomorrow.